Okay, so let's unpack this classic language learning dilemma.
The one I think everyone feels at some point.
Exactly. You've spent, maybe years studying English. You can handle really dense material, complex grammar. You can put on a movie, no subtitles, and follow it just fine.
You can read a novel. Your receptive skills, just taking information in, they're strong.
But then, the moment of truth. Someone just asks you a simple question.
Something like, so what did you do last weekend? And nothing. Your mind just goes completely blank.
Yes, that immediate panic. Your mouth opens, but the words aren't there. It's not that you don't know the words, it's that you can't seem to access them.
All that knowledge just feels trapped. And that feeling, that frustration of knowing the vocabulary is hiding in there somewhere, it's a huge sticking point.
Well, that frustration is exactly what we're going to get into today.
This deep dive is all about that massive, painful gap between understanding English and actually being able to speak it. We're going to break down the two main reasons this happens, and one of them is purely biological.
And then we've got 8 very specific, practical solutions from our research that are designed to help you build those missing speaking skills.
Yeah, let's start with the technical side of it, the why, the skill gap. There's an analogy that just captures it perfectly.
The bicycle analogy, I love this one.
It's so good.
Okay, so imagine you want to learn how to ride a bike. But instead of, actually getting on the bike, you decide to prepare thoroughly.
You're going to study it.
Yeah. You watch like 100 YouTube videos explaining the physics of balance, the best way to pedal, the mechanics of steering. You get the theory, 100%.
You could probably write a thesis on bicycle dynamics, but then the second you actually get on the bike for the first time,
You fall immediately.
Because watching is passive. Riding is an active physical skill.
And that is the absolute core difference here.
Yeah.
Listening and reading, those are what we call receptive skills. You're just receiving information.
But speaking and writing, those are productive skills. You have to actually produce the language yourself. You have to build it from scratch, often under pressure.
And the key thing our sources point out is that producing language uses totally different parts of your brain, different muscles and neural pathways.
Think of a pianist. You can understand music perfectly by listening to a concert. That's one skill.
Right.
But to actually move your fingers across the keys to create the music yourself, that's a completely separate skill. It needs muscle memory. It needs specific practice.
So if you spend, say, 95% of your time just listening to English podcasts or reading news sites,
You're building a massive receptive muscle. But your productive speaking muscle is tiny. It's weak because it's never been exercised.
it makes so much sense why the words feel trapped. The knowledge is there, but the path to get it out, the production pathway, it hasn't been built yet.
You've just been training the wrong skill for the result you want.
Okay, so that's the skill deficit. That's one half of the story. But what about the other part? The emotional part. Because even people who practice a bit still freeze up.
Right. That's the other, and honestly, sometimes bigger problem. I call it the biggest speaking killer. It's fear.
Fear, anxiety, just pure embarrassment.
Specifically, it's the fear of judgment. You're afraid of making a mistake, afraid people won't understand you, afraid they'll laugh at you or judge your accent.
And this is where it gets really fascinating because our research explains what's happening in your brain when you feel that fear.
Yes, your brain triggers its primitive fight-or-flight response. The amygdala, this tiny part of your brain, senses danger. And for our brains, social rejection is a big danger.
So what does it do?
It shuts down anything non-essential for survival. And crucially, it pulls energy away from the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles complex thought, creativity, and language construction.
So the part of your brain you need to access your vocabulary and build sentences is literally being throttled. It's going offline.
Precisely. Your thinking brain is shut down by your survival brain. It explains why 5 minutes after the conversation's over, you suddenly remember the perfect word.
Of course, because the fear is gone and the brain comes back online.
It wasn't a knowledge problem, it was an access problem, and that access was blocked by anxiety.
Wow. That's actually really validating for anyone who's ever felt that way. You're not dumb. Your brain is just trying to protect you.
That's it. So the whole problem is this awful combination of weak production skills from not practicing enough and then paralyzing fear that blocks the knowledge you do have. Okay, now that we know why we freeze weak skills in a panic brain, let's get into the fixes. We have 8 tips, and the first one is all about mindset. Tip 1, stop waiting to be ready. This is the biggest mistake learners make. They tell themselves, oh, I'll start speaking when my English is better or when my grammar is perfect.
A day that never comes.
Never.
Because you're chasing a moving target. You have to flip it around. Start speaking now, even if you're not ready. Speaking is how you get ready. So it's about shifting your goal.
Completely. You have to focus on communication, not perfection. If the other person understands what you mean, you succeeded. Even if your grammar was messy, you win. That takes so much pressure off. Okay, so tip number 2 feels like a direct response to that pressure. It's talk to yourself in English. This is probably one of the best things you can do because it's a zero pressure, zero judgment practice zone. You can do it anytime, anywhere.
How do you actually do that, though? Like, what do you say? You just narrate your life out loud if you can.
Yeah.
When you're making coffee, you say, okay, I'm making coffee now. I need to get the filter. Or when you're getting dressed, I think I'll wear the blue shirt today. Well, that's really clever because you automatically start using different tenses without thinking about it. Planning your day uses the future. Talking about what you did uses the past.
Exactly. You're using grammar for its function, not just memorizing rules. You're training your brain to think in English automatically without translating first. Which leads perfectly into tip number 3, which is about making that process faster. Learn in chunks, not single words. A chunk is just a group of words that naturally go together, a ready-made phrase.
So instead of just learning the word agree, you learn the whole chunk, I agree with you.
Or instead of opinion, you learn in my opinion. The reason this works is because when you're speaking fast, you don't have time to build every sentence from individual word bricks.
You just grab the whole pre-built block.
Right. It bypasses that whole mental construction phase, and your speaking speeds up almost instantly.
The sources also mention something called thinking bridges. These seem like a lifesaver.
They really are. They're just little phrases that buy you time to think. Things like, well, to be honest, or that's a good question, or let me see.
I see. So while you're saying that's a good question, your brain is busy grabbing the actual answer.
And you sound completely natural. You've just bought yourself 3 seconds of processing time and avoided that awkward silence where the panic can start to set in.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move on. Our next tip, number 4, is about using the skills you're already strong in to help the weak ones. Change the way you listen.
Yes. Most people listen passively. You know, you have a podcast on while you're driving or cooking. You're only listening for general meaning. To help your speaking, you need to do active listening.
And what does that actually mean?
It means you listen to study how people speak, you pay attention to their rhythm, their intonation, which words they stress. You're not just a consumer, you're an analyst.
And then there's a key action to take after listening.
Absolutely. After you listen to a short piece of audio, maybe a few minutes of a news story, you pause it and you summarize what you just heard out loud in your own words.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're taking input and forcing yourself to create output immediately. You're training that full circuit.
Even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences, you're practicing taking information in and then producing it yourself. Okay, tip number 5 is one I think people find a little uncomfortable, but it's so powerful. Record yourself speaking. I know nobody likes the sound of their own voice, but this makes you your own teacher. Just record yourself for, say, a minute or 2, talking about your day or a movie you saw.
And then you have to listen back and analyze it.
Yes. And start with the positive. Find something you did well. Then look for areas to improve. Did you say, a lot? Did you get stuck on a certain word?
I can see how that would be motivating. Because if you do it again a week later, you can actually hear the progress. Fewer pauses, more fluency, and it's all private.
It makes your improvement measurable. It's not just a feeling anymore. Which brings us to tip 6, and this one directly attacks that freezing problem. It's practice responding quickly. The freeze happens because of time pressure. A real conversation moves fast. If you try to build a perfect sentence in your head, the moment is gone by the time you're ready.
So you have to train for speed, not perfection. How do you do that?
Rapid-fire Q&A. You can use an app or a friend or just ask yourself random questions. The only rule is you have to answer immediately, out loud, as fast as you can.
Even if the answer isn't great.
Especially if it's not great.
Yeah.
The goal isn't a perfect answer. The goal is to not stop, to push through that hesitation. You're training your brain to keep going, which is exactly what a real conversation demands.
Okay, last 2 tips. Number 7 is a huge one. We kind of touched on it earlier. Stop translating in your head.
It's such a slow, painful process. You hear English, translate to your language, think of a reply in your language, and translate that back into English.
It's 4 steps. By the time you're done, the conversation is left without you.
It's just too slow. The sources all say you have to cut out the middleman. You have to start thinking directly in English.
That sounds hard. How do you even start?
You start small. Change your phone's language to English. Write your shopping list in English. The goal is for simple thoughts like, I'm hungry, to just pop into your head in English without your native language getting involved. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important tip. Number 8. Speak regularly with real people. Right. All these other tips are training. This is the main event. Nothing replaces real, unscripted conversation.
And these days, you don't need to move to another country to do it.
Not at all. The internet is full of resources. Language exchange partners, online conversation classes, free groups. Just find something and commit to it. Maybe start with twice a week.
And this brings us full circle back to that idea of confidence. We have to say it again. Do not wait until you're confident to start.
Confidence isn't the ticket you buy to get into the show. Confidence is what you get from going to the show. It's the result of practice, not the requirement for it. Every awkward conversation builds it a little more.
Okay, let's do a quick recap of those 8 fixes.
Stop waiting to be ready. Aim for communication, not perfection.
Talk to yourself in English. Build those production muscles in a safe space.
Learn in chunks and phrases, not just single words. It's so much faster.
Use active listening, then pause and summarize out loud.
Record yourself speaking. It's uncomfortable, but it makes you your own teacher.
Practice responding quickly. Train your brain not to freeze under pressure.
Work on stopping the translation habit. Try to think directly in English.
The big one. Speak regularly with real human beings.
If you're listening to this and this is your struggle, please don't feel bad about it. You're not broken. You're not bad at English.
You just haven't trained these specific productive muscles yet, but you can start today.
And that really leads us to our final thought, the big takeaway from all this research.
Yeah. Every time you try to speak, even if you make a mistake, even if you hesitate, that is a moment of progress. It's feedback. Every single word you manage to say is a small victory against that fear. The ultimate goal, always, is just communication, not perfection.
Now go out there and start winning those victories.